Hello friends! October 13 started the Speed Chess Championship 2025, the results of which 3 best chess players will get to the World Cup in esports next year. And in the 1/8 finals met the 16th world champion Magnus Carlsen and Jose Eduardo Martinez Alcantara, who somehow, after matches with Vladimir Kramnik, completely deflated and stopped shining in Title Tuesdays. Well, and I suggest to analyze the second game of this matchup, which very much reminded me of the Alcantara match against Vladimir Kramnik. So, Grandmasters play with time control 5+1. Jose Eduardo advances the king's pawn. Magnus, after some deliberation, responds with the Sicilian Defense. White directs the knight to the center, black eyes the central fields. And here, Jose marks out the arrangement a la Spanish game. After the knight f6 move limits the mobility of the light-squared bishop. Taking the pawn, of course, is impossible due to the double blow, and the black horse heads to Valhalla. So, in the game, the chess Viking completes the development of the knighthood, renewing the threat of capture. Alcantara defends the pawn with the bishop. This is the famous Joachim schemes. White leads the bishop to the c2 field in the spirit of the Spanish game, and gradually prepares the advance of the central pawn. Well, and let's see how Magnus reacts to this. He blocks the central pawn, so that it doesn't twitch anywhere. And to the planned bishop c2, Magnus advances the pawn, threatening not only capture, but also further space grab. Taking this into account, Martinez exchanges in the center. Magnus hits with the queen, taking advantage of the fact that the c3 field treacherously took away from the white knight the white pawn. Well, what white marks an attack on the e5 pawn along the semi-open file, black mobilizes the officer, and after the d3 move, Carlsen does long castling, creating pressure on the d3 pawn. As we see, black surpasses the opponent not only in space, but also in development. Alcantara tries to unwind his queenside flank. Magnus defends against the knight's encroachments and at the same time prepares an attack on the kingside flank in case of short castling. White, in turn, counterattacks on the opposite board sector. The Norwegian Grandmaster frees the clearing for the knight, with the idea to break through to the f4 field and have a heart-to-heart with the pawn and queen. Martinez opens the diagonal for the dark-squared bishop, and after the knight d5 move does short castling. And here I immediately got flashbacks from the Alcantara match against Vladimir Kramnik. On the board only the 13th move, and Martinez already got with white clearly worse. Better instead of this was to go bishop f4, pinning the knight and creating the threat of capture. Although after the responsive f6, I would prefer the black position. Their attack should develop clearly faster than the opponent's offensive. After the move in the game, black should have preliminarily attacked the knight. Further finish development with a terrible attack on the kingside flank. In our matchup, Magnus makes also seemingly logical move g5, with the idea to hide the g-file using the hook on the h3 field. Well, and here white needed to pin the knight, creating the threat of capture on the e5 field. Although after the responsive f6, despite the computer evaluation, I would still prefer the black position. Instead of this in our meeting, Joachim immediately undermines the queenside flank. But opening the g-file looks much more dangerous than opening the b-file. Under attack knight and pawn, apparently, has to exchange. And now also the white knight falls under a very unpleasant pin. The iron friend advises to go b5 counterattacking the enemy knight. Although here black can smash on the c3 field, sacrificing the piece, attacking the opponent's queen. After capture to conduct a double blow. And white needs already to give the queen for 3 pieces. Although in this situation, these pieces more resemble sleepy flies, and may simply not make it to the defense of the king's residence. If white tries to save the strongest piece, then black breaks through to the f3 field, announcing guard. After capture writes out check to the king, and further creates the threat of mate along the h-file. Almost the only defense is the king h3 move. Black connects the knight to the attack, and white has only to give their bishop, and one way or another to get mate. The Mexican Grandmaster in our game decided simply to finish development, piling on the c5 pawn, but after the responsive 5, the white position collapses. Capture on c5 does not save, since black simply exchanges. Further breaks through to the c3 field, eliminating the knight's defender, and completely destroys the king's residence. Taking this into account in our meeting, Martinez in desperation plays b5. Magnus breaks through to the e4 field and after the responsive capture creates a deadly x-ray along the g-file. Alcantara gave check on the b7 field, and after the responsive king b8, already on the 19th move, resigned. Well, as if white has under attack a pinned knight. In case of capture, black breaks through to the c3 field, again eliminating the knight's defender. Further captures on f3, creating the threat of mate, and gets not only an extra piece, but also a decisive attack on the white king. So that's it friends, Magnus told Joachim to keep his crooked schemes to himself. In the end, the 16th world champion won the match with a score of 14.5 to 8.5 and advanced to the next round of the competition. Write in the comments what you think about all this, and also support the channel with likes and subscription. All the best!